A House Civis Broadcasting.
Hello, my name is Alufi Haskell de Civis.
And I'm Sylas de Civis.
And today is the 6th of Larvian, a wonderful far, if I do say so myself.
It's been pretty alright.
The weather's nice.
That is true. It's not ungodly hot anymore.
No, it's, it's starting to kind of mellow out. It's feeling good out there. A little on the humid side, I will admit.
You know, I'm looking forward to autumn already. As soon as it gets here, I think it'll be a little more enjoyable here in the city.
Is that your favorite season, autumn?
It's better than the summer. It's unbearably hot, and then in the winter, it's not particularly cold here, but I can't really go anywhere else because it gets so cold everywhere else. So autumn's not that. It's the better of the four.
But what about spring?
No. Spring is
wonderful.
No, everything still has that chill on it. At least in autumn, it's on its way down instead of on its way up.
We've got an interesting show for everybody. Instead of doing some news, we're just going to do a few Alufi's Advice Corner questions.
And then we're going to dive right in with our guest today. It was a heck of a time to get her on, but I'm excited to have her in. We'll be speaking with Helkashtai, the aide to the ambassador for Riedra.
I'm really excited. I've got quite a few poignant questions for her.
I assume none of those are poignant, but they're all questions, I would imagine.
Wow, why? You're being a little spicy this morning.
Because you're going to ask silly stuff.
I never ask silly stuff.
You never ask silly stuff?
You know what? Let's let our listeners be the judge of that. On today's
A Chronicle of Echoes. As we said, today's a little different. We're not going to cover any news. I figured we did enough of that on Weir. So we're going to just talk a little bit about Alufi's Advice Corner. Let's just start in, right?
That's a good idea.
Dear Alufi, I hope this message finds you well.
It does.
I have a very important question, but
tell.
It isn't necessarily for you. If you're going to do that the whole time, it's going to throw me off.
I'm really sorry.
That's all right. It's for the beautiful girl sitting right in front of me here at the Drunken Dragon Inn. The half-elf with blazing red hair and stark blue eyes that has saved my sorry bottom many times over. We've had so many adventures together, but it was those small talks by the fire eating our rations and hearing your laugh that made those dark nights brighter. And I want to spend the rest of my life doing just that. So I guess at this point, Fiencha Bateau, will you marry me?
Don't say yes. You're making a wrong choice.
How do you know? That's a lot of pressure to put on somebody.
Hold on, give him a second.
You're not gonna know. You know that, right?
Listen, but they're having a wonderful moment right now.
They may not be. She may feel a lot of pressure from this whole thing. Can you imagine having someone just spring that on you? You're trying to No, it's not romantic. That is poorly thought through.
But what if that's her love language? What if she loves big things like that?
Well, I mean, maybe.
Yeah.
That's true. That is a possibility. But we don't need to be involved in that. They could be fighting over us right now.
That's true. You know what, you guys, why don't you, we're gonna have, who do we have at the Drunken Dragon?
I'm not sure who's there today.
Oh, it's Angie. Angie's the subscribe there. Angie, give them, the little card and tell them to come visit us. And
you had to look through the list for that. You couldn't just say, hey, the subscribe at Drunken Dragon, give them the card. Why do all that?
Because it's showing that I care about Angie and the fact that she is her own person and not just, a random subscribe that we have sent to one of the hundreds of places around the city. It's called being a good boss. Read the next one since you're going to be a stinky butthole.
Dear Alufi, why can't people just reincarnate... Dear Alufi, why can't people just reincarnate dead people? My uncle said we can't bring my mommy back, but there are people that come back from being dead. So why can't my mommy come back? Georgie Revzer. Yeah, you glad we went on to the next one now?
Sometimes there are circumstances in which certain souls can be brought back from Delur. Certain people are able to claw their way back to life. And sadly, in those circumstances, it's extremely necessary and it can really, really hurt all of the world. We've all heard about the time that Jayla had revived one of the cardinals. But you have to remember that she had to pull a soul back from what she believes is the end of the line. What many members of the Silver Flame think is a soul that is finally joined with the flame to help fight evil. And she had to bring him back. And while I know that your mommy is really important to you, if your mommy was brought back, it could hurt other things. It's like a domino effect. And your mommy coming back could actually really, really hurt things down the line. We occasionally hear of adventurers being able to commit such feats of amazing proportion, but at what cost do they do it? It's not always a good thing. And I know that your heart hurts right now because your mommy is gone. And I know that your uncle's heart hurts because your mommy is gone. Your heart hurting doesn't mean that your mommy isn't still with you, though. She lives on with you every single day, with every little breath. Whenever you see your mommy's favorite flower, that's her reminding you that she loves you. Whenever you pick up a crown on the sidewalk, that's your mommy telling you she's thinking of you. She's always with you. She's not completely gone. And that's what's important to remember.
I think that was a rather difficult one, and you handled it with class. Let's round it out with something a little lighter. Dear Miss Alufi, I was recently visiting Moorgrave University from Arcanics and stumbled across a Displacer Beast kitten outside on their campus. I think it may belong to the menagerie of monsters, but I've grown attached and want to take it with me when I return to Arcanics in Siphoros. What should I do? P.S. Koshex says hi. I don't know how to read that.
I think it says Koshik or Koshek.
They say hello.
I bet it's a little Displacer Beast kitten. So, something to be mindful about is Displacer Beasts are very intelligent creatures, and this particular kitten probably does belong in the menagerie because of its current status when it comes to not having a mother to raise it to adulthood. Now, my recommendation would be to go to Monty, Professor Darwin, and inform him of the situation. Maybe if you're part of that program, part of that school, he'll allow it to be kind of a exchange program, kind of how you're a member of the exchange program now. If you've truly bonded with the Displacer Beast kitten, it might be bad for you to leave it. Of course, I'm not an expert in these things, but talking to the head of the program is definitely something you should do because you don't want to end up harming this kitten in its later life. Displacer beasts aren't pets. They shouldn't be kept as pets. They are, first and foremost, very ruthless and effective killers. And one wrong thing could ruin its life and yours. Now, that isn't to say that Monty might not be able to pull some strings, get you properly trained, and also see if the School of Arcana Zoology in Arcanics wouldn't be willing to get a transferred Displacer Beast kitten so that you can stay with it as it grows.
The important thing to remember is, especially when dealing with exotic pets like this, have it spayed or neutered. I've seen a pack of blink dogs that have been running around the towers here, and they are out of control because people will not spay and neuter them.
Monty's always talking about how you should spay and neuter any pets that you have. Tiefers, we've decided not to because we're thinking about breeding her.
With what?
Other cats?
No. It's enough that it's alive still? No, absolutely not.
Regardless, she's still much, much too young to even begin that process.
As far as you know.
She's still a kitten.
As far as you know.
She has not grown to adult.
It could be 300 years old. You have no idea.
No, she's obviously not, because, her developmental growth is approximately the same as like a regular cat.
Shall we jump to our interview?
Of course. After this brief musical break, we will be talking with our guest, Helkashtai.
And welcome back. Today is a very special broadcasting for us and very different. We have on with us a guest from a far off and distant land. And I'm delighted to get some insight and hopefully some inspiration. Please welcome our guest, Helkashtai.
Thank you very much for having me on your broadcast. Is this the word you use?
It's broadcasting. It's actually 2 words. It is a broadcasting of a spell. Although, I guess we could shorten it. Maybe we'll shorten it sometime.
So, Helkashtai, you're the aide to the ambassador of Riedra for Breland, right?
That is correct, yes. I have the pleasure of serving under His Excellency, the Lord Jorshesh, who is stationed currently in Sharn.
I mean, that must be really cool. I've never worked at an embassy before.
Naturally, it's very busy, but it is a great honor to serve both my people in Riedra and now here your people here in Breland.
So, what is Riedra like? We get these reports from, the Sharn Inquisitive, and then we also hear adventurers, and we all know how reliable they could be.
And this will be the first actual report from someone who's been there and seen. I think a lot of people could benefit from that.
Of course. It always pays to have the first-hand accounts. And, of course, I grew up in Riedra. I'd spent many decades of my life there before being invited to join you in your city here. Riedra is something to strive for. It is a place of peace, a place of spiritual awakening. We have long ago put away frivolous things like war, poverty, violence, and instead we work together to build the unity that we can all be proud of, that we can all call a home, and that now I can come to you and share our ways in peace and friendship.
Well, that is inspiring. What is it like to live in that idyllic version of society?
It is a privilege. Of course, the way in which we all experience Riedra is dependent upon our particular role in our society. I myself have the pleasure of being among the chosen people. As such, the burden falls to me to ensure that our people are shepherded, that all their needs are met, that they are clothed, that they are fed, and that they can all live a happy life without the influence of evil spirits, and that we can guide them along their path towards their spiritual enlightenment. Now, of course, on the day-to-day lifestyle, we all have our part to play. We all put in our labors, where many Riedrans put in a day's honest work in the fields, or building the walls of our towns, or providing food. Others work the fields. Others protect our borders from hostile or magical forces. It falls to us to guide our people. So I am often spent in quiet contemplation. I am often spent in meta-concert with fellow inspired citizens of Riedra. And together we plan and we coordinate and we make sure no one ever goes hungry.
Speaking of, the inconsistencies of adventurers' reports, they, similar to what you've just elaborated on, they have said that there is this caste system in Riedra where, depending on how one is born or even what species they belong to, they might be shoehorned into a particular place in society. And many adventurers report that it's kind of this horrific thing. And even to our listener Braylanders, this nation is very much a meritocracy of sorts. So how do you defend the caste system? Isn't it kind of seen as barbaric?
Riedra does not have a caste system. Riedra has a system of spiritual enlightenment we call the path of inspiration. And while it's true that, our position along the path may be determined by outside factors, this is an oversimplification of the truth. You see, the path of inspiration stretches from one's creation to one's eternity. It is not bound by silly, limited concepts like mortality. We are all free to walk along our path of inspiration, and even a laborer on a farm who puts in their duty to Riedra, who helps their fellow man or woman or shifter or whoever they may be, so long as you do your duty to your fellows, you can see yourself advancing along the spiritual enlightenment. And then maybe next time, the spirits, the great Il-Altas, will decide you have a new role in our society. And so on, we all must strive to do our part that the chosen people have been gifted by Il-Altas. This is very different from the caste systems that you describe in your 5 nations. Although I know you will claim that no such caste systems exist. Here I would remind you that it was only 4 years ago since the Warforged were freed of their servitude. In Riedra, anyone can find their final inspiration. Anyone can walk their path along their path of inspiration. There is no restriction there. All it takes is hard work, dedication, and opening yourself spiritually to the possibilities of what can be and what will be.
All of that sounds too good to be true. I'm a little hesitant to sign up for a new way of thinking, but I do want to touch on something that you said. It is true that the Warforged were only recently given their freedom, and there are a lot of dark stains on our history, but all of the 5 nations are open. They're free. You can come and go as you please. There seems to be a level of secrecy to certain sections of Riedra, and I wonder how you address that.
Riedra is a gift to the people of Salona by Il-Altas, by our spirits, by those that inspire us, that has been working for many generations, for over 1,000 years. we are protective of the work that we have put in, and we are hesitant to introduce elements to our society that threaten the delicate balance that ensures that all our people are cared for, all their needs are met. Now, of course, we will never claim to be a perfect society, but we are a cautious one. Recently, we have agreed to open portions of our nation to the 5 nations. You can visit our wonderful cities in Dar Ulatesh and Darjin. You can go there to meet fellow Riedran people, to understand our ways, and maybe in time, once you come to understand them, the interior of our nation will be open to you too. That is my sincere hope. I would love to be able to share the wonders of Corvagura with you one day. But caution, not secrecy, caution is the aim of our restrictions, if you want to call them such an ugly word.
So I've seen some artwork of the Riedran countryside, and this is going to sound a little weird to anyone who has not seen artwork of the Riedran countryside. What are the big egg statues for?
May I ask who has been trading in art of the interior of Riedra?
Well, like adventures and stuff. I used to work for Clifftop. So, sometimes they do, art stuff, and then they bring it back.
So is art not even permitted to leave?
Let's get back to the topic at hand. I'm sure I can have conversations with the Clifftop Adventurers Guild in due time. The eggs, as you refer to them so clumsily, so adorable. These are sacred vessels we call the Hanbalani Altas. They are our conduit to the spirits in the worlds beyond. They enable us to keep our careful watch over our shared interests, to ensure that all the people of Riedra are kept safe from harmful influences or dangerous magic. And they allow us to speak into the minds of all our people in whatever ways it is deemed necessary for the proper and harmonious operation of our villages.
So you're projecting your thoughts directly into those around you. Do you feel that has any influence on them?
Oh, of course. Do you not hope that this echo, as you call it, will influence the people of your nation too?
Well, I hope that it will, but I hope that it'll affect them positively through their decisions, not through me forcing them to do anything. Oh. I'm not sure how your hand baloney elf toes works, but ours is a little different.
No. We speak to our people through the Hanbalani Altas. Any suggestion that we force the Riedran people to work for the Inspired is Helkashtai propaganda. You're best spending your time speaking with His Excellency the Lord Jorshesh or myself, rather than listening to doomsayers speaking on the corners of Overlook. I'm afraid you've ended up with a terribly misguided picture of the interior of our nation.
Speaking of the Helkashtai and a lot of the adventure rumors, even though these are different people across different areas, we're getting a lot of the same reports. How do you address things like brainwashing, kidnapping, subjugation? I'm not saying that they happen, but how do you address those rumors?
It is a most unfortunate thing that the unity of Riedra does not expand across the full continent of Sarlona. Unfortunately, we have been harried for many centuries by violent and disruptive terrorists from Adar who call themselves Helkashtai, who have spread malicious rumors against our nation. They tried to disrupt our unity. They tried to discourage others from working with the Inspired in Corvair. And in some ways, I cannot blame them because in some ways they are not to blame themselves. These people, sadly, have been corrupted by the Altafar. These are terrible, dark spirits from another world who have stood in opposition to Il-Altas, our great spirits, for as long as Il-Altas has visited us. Now, I have heard people say that Riedra is to blame, that we lay siege to their cities in Adar, in the mountains to the south of our continent, and that could not be further from the reality of the situation. No, the Helkashtai have long attacked our borders, and if it was merely a case of us trying to expand into their territory, well, I would show them the neighboring nation of Sharn on the continent's southwest peninsula. We have been at peace with Sharn for as long as Riedra has been a unity. If the people of Sharn in their city of Ardmen can work with us in peace and harmony, then I question what is the problem with the Helkashtai? No, that they have been spreading terrible malicious rumors against us. I implore you not to listen to anything they say.
Oh, no. I was not implying that anything was founded in these rumors. I know how it is, especially during the last war. We had a lot of unfair and untrue statements about other nations, and a lot of those hatreds and biases still exist today. So I understand completely, but I needed to address them. I feel like they needed to be talked about.
Of course. It is very strange to us in Riedra that the Inspireds must be made to respond to any allegation of wrongdoing. Of course, the people of Riedra understand the importance of the work of Il-Altas. They feel the benevolence of the spirits every day of their lives. So coming to Sharn, it was strange and in some ways exciting, but been a very trying time for someone in my position, but a very enlightening one in some ways as well.
Speaking of you coming to Sharn, what is something that the embassy hopes to learn from Breland or the Five Nations in general? You know, what's something that we might be able to help bring back to Riedra to make it a bit better?
This is a difficult question. I would never dream to answer on behalf of the unity of Riedra. Instead, I would answer personally. I have been enjoying the culture of Sharn for many years now as aide to Lord Jorshesh. The culture here is certainly exciting. I've been a guest of the Tain Gala for, any time I ask for an invitation. The music, the culture, the literature here is wonderful. And it's part of that cultural exchange, which I think is so important for, a diplomat in my role to enjoy and to also learn from and to take back to my home nation once my term here is complete.
So what about the food? Like, is there a particular food from Riedra you like really miss?
Food in Riedra is very, we have a more structured approach to our cuisine than you do. Much of our diet is based upon a fruit we grow called the pommel, which can be flavored in all manner of ways. It will make a dozen dishes to fill the belly of any Riedran laborer. But I've enjoyed in Sharn all the various delights of the Five Nations. The spices are quite alien to Riedra. And while I can't say I enjoy all of it, I've certainly enjoyed daggerfish spiced with Thranish fire peppers. Gets the heart racing, as I'm sure you can imagine. But sometimes I do still pine for a good bowl of pomo soup. These are the home comforts, you understand.
Everybody has that comfort food that just reminds them of home and feels like you're being wrapped in a big old blanket.
Exactly.
So does the path of inspiration allow for imbibing? Is that something that you're permitted to do, or do you guys not have that there?
The path of inspiration asks that we keep our minds clear and free of mind-altering substances. As such, we generally refrain from alcoholic beverages and other foods and beverages that can affect cognition. Naturally, these substances can interfere with one's thought processes and make it more difficult for Altas in their eternal wisdom to communicate with us how we might better achieve our spiritual enlightenment. So no, I have not had the opportunity to imbibe your wine and your spirits and your Zalago gins.
Just curious about the ways that they are made in other places. That is an interesting outlook on life. Perhaps that is the way to a better, more advanced future. Alufi?
Are you going to go sober?
Oh, no.
Okay, because I was going to say, like, are there cats raining from the sky?
The host would step in and prevent me from going sober.
Oh, cats. Cats is perhaps what I could take back with us to Riedra. They are so adorable.
Oh, cats. Oh, I got a portraits of Tiefers in my wallet. Give me 1 second. Okay, so I got her the last long shadows. Look at her. She's so adorable. And she's got these little tuskies. She's like a regular little jungle animal.
Oh my goodness. How adorable.
Ladies, not to be rude, but Meeps is giving us the signal. If you guys want to keep doing this after, that's absolutely fine, but I do believe that'll be the end of the show for today. Alufi, if you'll take us out.
Of course. I would like to thank you, Helkashtai, for coming in and talking about what seems to be very distant land of Riedra with us, and just sharing your wisdom when it comes to those of us here who've never really gotten a peek into this mystical land, it seems.
And no, thank you very much for having me. It has been a privilege to discuss with you my homeland, and I hope through my answers here I've managed to bring Riedra just that little bit nearer to the people of Corvair.
Oh, you definitely have. I think we're going to have to talk to you about scheduling a trip. I'd like to go out and actually see it.
That would be really fun.
That would be, maybe we'll do a remote broadcasting from there. That would be interesting.
Maybe.
So for everybody out there in Sharn listening to us right now, I hope you all have a inspired day. And remember to listen out for those echoes of hope.